In this week's energy forecast episode, I share a little bit with you about my recent process through some tough emotions and how to use your mind, your body, and your emotions to navigate what you're facing in your life, particularly around failure. I hope it helps, and thank you so much for tuning in. And welcome back to the energy forecast. It's been quite a while since I showed up here, and I am really excited to be back, to be channeling this healing, this message for you, for the collective. I do know that the past couple weeks especially have been quite challenging for people, and I have an intention of bringing some lightness to this period while also giving you some clear direction on how to move about what you're facing. So when I tune into the energy, I start to receive information, and the first word that I heard was illumination. Like there is this, you know, those little spotlights that you can wear on your head, whether you're riding a bicycle at night or you're reading a book. It's kind of as if we're all walking around with this little light bulb here that's illuminating things that maybe we haven't seen before, illuminating our insecurities, places where we've outgrown, things that we used to enjoy that just don't fit us anymore, illuminating the discrepancies in our life, illuminating the patterns that worked for some time, but we've reached a point where there's a greater agitation than there used to be. And with something this intense, this level of illumination in so many different areas, maybe you kind of feel like your whole life is being illuminated, and both how much you can enjoy your life, but also how much there are things that feel heavy and unsupportive. So when anything is illuminated, there tends to be a lot of discomfort. And we're being encouraged this week to allow the discomfort to be there without creating a story of blame or shame or needing to figure it out, but instead allowing ourselves to really just be in whatever emotion is present. So say you're in a relationship and you're not quite feeling the same way you did. Our tendency as humans is to go into story mode, which looks like maybe this person's not the right one for me. Maybe she just isn't a match. Maybe I need to be doing something different. Maybe there's someone better for me. Maybe, well, what if I leave? How does that look? And what about the dog? And how would we split that up? And really getting into the how of things instead of, this is a different course you could take that I am suggesting this week, to feel that unsettled, dissatisfied, unhappy even feeling, and not make a story about the way you're going to get out of it or how you ended up here, but instead just allowing that dissatisfaction to course through your body. So like when we have an invader in our body, like a flu symptom or a flu germ, our body gets to work in dealing with that. It knows exactly what to do. It knows how to process it, how to flush it out of your body, right? You get a fever, it heats up your body, burning off that bacteria. We actually have a very similar process that happens in regards to our emotions. And perhaps you know about this, and even if you don't, it's all right. We have the there's more chakras than 7, but 7 main energy centers of the body. And in each energy center, which is in different places of your body, it stores information and it also processes information. It's like a factory, similar to our immune system, but an emotional immune system. So when you feel dissatisfied or unhappy or depressed or off in some form or another, there is a chakra system or energy system in your body that is working to process that. What gets in the way, like let's bring it back to the flu. If you had the flu germ and you started to feel sick, what would get in your way of becoming well more quickly? Probably running yourself, kind of continuing your workout, continuing your work schedule, continuing to wear your body down. That would make it a lot harder for your immune system to do what it knows to do so well to help treat what's going on. So the same is true of our emotions. When we have a feeling of discontent, the chakras get to work in processing those and kind of discarding, clearing up, burning off what doesn't serve you anymore. But what gets in the way of that emotion being processed is our thoughts, I don't have time for this. I can't feel this way. Oh my gosh, that again? I was told as a child not to be angry, so we just shut it down. And that's like telling our bodies, you know what? I know you're exhausted and these feel like flu-like symptoms, but I'm gonna keep on going. We're just shutting it down and ignoring the signals from our body. So our body, it manifests in other ways, perhaps a headache or a cold or, an angry outburst at someone you really don't want to be doing that to, or making some sort of rash decision like quitting your job when you don't have something else lined up and you really need that paycheck. So the chakras, the systems, the energetic, the non-physical parts of our body know how to handle the emotional invaders. So we have to practice not getting in the way of that. And this week is particularly potent and rich for practicing this. I feel this emotion, and instead of making up all the reasons why I can't feel this right now, running myself into the ground, I'm instead going to just allow myself to feel this. And it's actually a lot easier than what we've been doing. It looks like, oh, anger. Okay, I feel agitated. Okay, I feel that. And I'm just gonna let myself feel that. Maybe even you can pinpoint in your body. I've been practicing this in your body where you feel it. Maybe you feel it in your belly or your chest, or in your lower back, in your head. You'll find it, you feel it somewhere. And whether you know about the chakras or not, you can use that word like, okay, that chakra, whatever that is processing this for me. And similar to the body wanting to rinse and clear, the chakras do the same thing. And you wouldn't stop your body from expressing whatever it needs to express to give you relief, right? You would allow your body, you would support your body in doing what it needs to do to get rid of whatever kind of germ is infesting you. The same exact thing goes for emotions. Emotions like anger or sadness or guilt. You know how like overbearing that can feel. And yes, emotions can be intense, but really what causes that overwhelm to feel so strong is our kind of stop, please stop. Where it's like, no, we embrace the suck, embrace this sensation of being completely confronted with it. And the really beautiful thing, if you allow yourself to focus on yourself and to allow, it's harder than I'm making it sound very easy. It is quite challenging because we are taught to fight and to suck it up and to push through. But if you listen to the signals of your body, then this emotion will shift and your mind immediately goes, well, okay, but that doesn't really solve my problem. But this is the beginning to solving that bigger problem. If you're pissed off, you are not very solution oriented. You are not very helpful with anyone trying to get clear about the next steps. Again, bring it back to that relationship. If that relationship really is at its end, you being pissed off and trying to hurry it along is not really helpful for a smooth transition. So allowing yourself the space to process what emotion is up then creates a pathway of ease for you to take for the next logical step in your path. So I just felt this sensation in the heart of sadness. Perhaps there's some sadness about what you thought was going to be, or what you had hoped, what your expectations were. But what if I told you that everything that unfolds is more than meets the eye? I mean, we really know that to be true, right? People talk about, there's a little gnat, talk about having children. And it's this like, oh, it's so beautiful, it's so wonderful. And I know some people talk about how challenging it is, but like, until you actually get in it, you're not really fully aware of the intensity and of the responsibility. But you'll find your way through, So when you're in the middle of having an infant and you're not sleeping, you're going, how the heck am I going to make it to 18 years? How am I going to make it to 20? How am I even going to get it to next week? This feels so overwhelming. But when you chunk it down to just this moment, taking one step after the other, it unfolds and the path gets shown to you. And so I would encourage you this week not to take on the weight of the world, kind of brushing this heaviness off your shoulders, whether that's, actually like rolling your shoulders back, physically moving it, or affirming to yourself that it's not my responsibility to shoulder the weight of the world, the weight of this relationship or this change that's going on in my life. Instead, my work is to acknowledge that I'm feeling something that I'm feeling, and to simply give it the space. And the way out will be shown. I promise you that. And sometimes it doesn't feel like a very logical step. I'll give you an example of my own life where I've practiced this recently and had great success. I have had some emotional stuff going on, and a lot of changes in my business. I'm getting support for the first time, and it's really wonderful, but it's bringing up a lot of things for me. So I was feeling overwhelmed. I had made a bunch of videos and was trying to figure out this content stuff, and when do I post this, and where and how, and all of that. And then I had to take a step back and say, okay, I know I'm feeling overwhelmed. And kind of engaging in all this content stuff is actually creating more overwhelm. So what's something that I can do outside of that right now to bring myself some relief? A couple days ago, it was movement. It was the best I felt all day. Did it take away that emotion? No, that was kind of an avoidance tactic. But yesterday and today, I just leaned towards relief. What's going to help bring some relief? So I made myself some tea, started to drink my tea. Then I'm like, you know what? I'll review this video right now. And as I started to review it, it started to give me answers. And that's not really my point. It's not about like search for something outside of you, but this listening to what's going to give me relief. And we're very well practiced in pushing up against stuff, trying to move this, right? This is you, this is the boulder. You're trying to move this boulder. And it's like, well, there's ways around, right? Maybe not underneath, but there's ways around this. And me trying to figure stuff out, it was like this. And then I was like, you know what? And I let the pressure off, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to make some tea. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was able to view the boulder from over here. When I reviewed the content, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. That overwhelm was just like, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Have some damn tea, Laura. Take your time through this. And it is very human of us to want to rush through things and, get it done, cross it off the list. But we also, as human beings, right, we have these nervous systems that are saying now, fight or flight, lack, failure, insecurity. But we also have a deeper part of us that says all is well. Things are unfolding as they need to. I'm all right now. And so it's balancing those two, the mind, the heart, the information that's being transferred between the two very prominent and powerful systems of our body. And when I say heart, I'm talking our emotional guidance. And so we have a lot of things to take into consideration. We have our mind, right? Our thoughts. We have our own heart, our emotions. And then we have our physical body that's telling us stuff. I had a client who, she suffered from cancer, and she has some back problems, but she's working on this project. She was feeling really good. She's painting, starts to get really hot, and she keeps going. And I talked to her the next day for a session, and she said, I just can't believe how bad I'm hurting right now. And obviously brings up some fear because she has some experience with cancer, and this could be worse than just a sore back. It could be something life-threatening. So instead of kind of jumping on the story of, oh no, do you need to go to the doctor? Is this really bad? What are we going to do? Instead, I just pulled back and said, all right, did you have any emotional indicator inside of you that was saying that you were pushing too hard? She's like, yeah, it was really hot. I'm like, okay. And did you listen to that emotion? And she said, no, my mind was like, I want to get this done. So all the time we're getting indicators. We're getting emotional indicators, physical indicators, and mental thoughts as well. The most dominant thing, especially in this day and age, is our mind leading the way. But we're reaching a certain level of consciousness that allows us the freedom to become more aware of the other systems in our body. And I say allows us to become aware is because we have technology, we have delivery services, we have so much support for those fundamental needs. We are in a time period where we can expand our consciousness, where we can become more aware of the different systems. But it's like it's a computer program, right? Our minds are a computer program. We need to update the software. We need to remind ourselves, okay, there's more systems running here. I'm very aware of what my thoughts are saying. In this woman's case, I want to get this done. I'm aware. I can feel my body saying I'm tired and fatigued and can really use a break. And then I'm just not allowing my emotions to chime in, because those things, they can be really pesky and unhelpful, says the mind. So when we me and this client, when we looked back on the situation, so she said, yeah, I did want to get it done, but I could tell my body was hurting, and emotionally I was feeling quite frustrated, and I was just forcing myself to do it. So seems like a small thing. Well, she felt the repercussions the next day. Her back really hurt. It brought up some fear about cancer and all of that. And so just being able to kind of pull back from the drama of our life, about the situation we're in with our family or our partner or our job or our body, and saying, okay, hold on a sec. Let me just become aware. What red flags was I not listening to? What information was arising that I wasn't willing to look at? And how can I do better going forward? I can't go back. I can only go forward. So how can I do better next time? That is what failure is all about. It is the best teacher, because it shows you exactly where you suck and where you need to grow. Like, I know for a really long time I sucked at communicating. When I first acknowledged that, I'm like, no, I don't. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I do. And that may be surprising to you because it's what I do for a living. But with personal relationships, communication has been really challenging. And so I first acknowledged it. It was really hard. I fucked up a bunch of times and tried to rationalize why I didn't communicate. And then just fully accepting at some point, this is kind of fast track story, that Communication is a really powerful tool that I want to use, and I'm gonna fuck up with it, and I'm gonna learn that I can get better. That's all failure is. So if any area of your life feels like you're failing, remember, it's information. That's a really good thing. If we just constantly were just this upward trajectory, it's like, okay, well, we'd be progressing in such incredibly fast ways, and that would be awesome in some sense, but also I think it would be kind of boring. So allowing yourself that human moment of I failed, and that isn't the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is I don't learn anything from this and I don't move beyond this point. But from where I stand, I can recognize my failures, and I can recognize where I need to adjust because of the glitch, right? When I was having some drama with my partner, it was my lack of communication, and I was unwilling to admit it. And then when I was finally like, oh, wait, that's the issue, it allowed me to fix the glitch. And now things are smooth sailing, and now something else can arise that I can practice my new muscle of communication and move beyond the point that I've been before. And that's what we're here for, to move beyond the point that we've been before. But oftentimes it's like we take 2 steps, we take 1 step back, we fail. We can take the opportunity to take that new information of where did I fuck up there? Like what? Like me this morning, like trying to watch those videos when I had a plan to do the energy forecast, and like I was overwhelming myself. I see now I was trying to take it all on, overload myself, when really I was overwhelmed and I needed my tea, and I just needed to take care of me before I got clear on the next steps. And when I took care of me, everything became clearer. I listened to a video, I got the advice that I needed about being uncomfortable, and that is actually where I'm going to grow, and here we are. I've been wanting to do the energy forecast on a Sunday since I started doing videos for the energy forecast. And I don't know how long it's been, at least 6 months, and I took a 2-month break off, but here I am. And it feels so good, and I'm so happy to be back. But there was a lot of growing and bumps and failure for me to get to this point. So if you're failing at something in your life, you're not doing something wrong. Take that chance. It's a chance, it's a moment. It's, not just a moment in time, it's an opportunity when you're still kind of in the midst of your failure to say, all right, I failed, that sucks, my butt hurts because I fell on it. And there's information for how I can be better. And that's, right, isn't that all that school was ever teaching us? That, you move beyond the point that you've been before to then get more information that's a little bit more challenging that you probably won't get at first, and then you get better and better and better. We are, improvement doesn't stop at a certain age. It continues on for all of eternity. So that's a nice little reminder to kind of sit back and enjoy the ride a little bit more. That you don't need to hustle to the finish line of checking all the things off your to-do list of self-improvement. But know that one thing that you improve, like me communicating differently, led to the next transition and me growing and evolving in my relationships. And it's going to lead to the next and the next. And that's the incredible intricacy that human life, Mother Nature, life itself, I don't know what you want to call it. It's like this incredible equation of these factors that we can't quite understand, but ultimately the equation comes out at the end. Those like really long math equations? I was never really good at math, but when I, those really big equations, I was like, how the heck are you gonna get to one number? There's like 18 up here. How do you dwindle it down to 1? You have to go through the process, right? There are systems that you use to go through the process. And my hope for you is that I have provided you with some systems to kind of sift through your life, to process the different things that you're facing, and most importantly, to have compassion for where you are. You're not doing anything wrong. You didn't mess anything up. You're exactly where you need to be right now. And there's always an opportunity for you to move beyond this point. Sometimes it just takes a little rest, a little reflection, and I know you will get there. So thank you so much for tuning in. I so appreciate you for showing up, and I will talk to you soon.